Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So this video is very much not the kind of content I make. I normally make content around mental well-being and mental health and wellness and lifestyle. However, I need to make this video because I just need to talk to somebody about this book that I've recently read. So therefore, if you're one of my long-time subscribers, I'm really sorry, but this video isn't one of my normal videos. This is a book review about A Little Life. I do not recommend you read this book. However, I have to make this video because I have no one to talk to about it. No one in my friend circle has read this book, and this book has taken over my life. So I feel the need to do this review is what I think it's a review, but I feel the need to just do this video so I can talk about it, and maybe it will help someone else who is interested in reading this book, has heard about this book, or has already read the book and just wants to hear my perspective on it. I knew nothing about A Little Life by Hanya Yanagihara until about 3 weeks ago. Maybe a bit longer, maybe about 5 weeks ago. I am a regular theatre goer, and I live in London, so I'm at the theatre maybe once a week or maybe every couple of weeks. And I was on Facebook one day and a advert popped up for A Little Life, which has been turned into a play. And the play is opening in London today, actually. And it has a top celebrity cast in there. So the advertising and the media hype around A Little Life, the play, has been quite big. There's been a lot. And as a regular theatre goer, I came across it very randomly on Facebook. I don't even use Facebook that much, but on this occasion, I opened Facebook and I saw an advert for A Little Life. I started to read some of the comments about it and realised that a lot of people were excited about this play, and I love a good play. I watch a lot of plays, so therefore I was naturally intrigued. I started to read a little bit more about it, and I discovered that it was based on a book. And then I read the Amazon reviews for the book, which were phenomenal. 5 stars, thousands and thousands of reviews for this book. And I'm a reader. I read very casually, like a holiday reader, or often I listen to audiobooks. It's kind of how I consume books. It's the fastest way for me to consume books, so I always have an audiobook on the go. I very rarely, unless I'm on holiday, kind of work through a book in my day-to-day life. I like books and I like reading. However, with so much other content that we're surrounded by these days, podcasts and Netflix and all that kind of stuff, I haven't really been prioritizing physical books. So I naturally decided that I would get the audiobook of A Little Life. And I had decided at that point that given that this play is the play of the year, it was something that I would probably have to see. I was very naive because the ticket sold out extremely fast. I did not realize. I thought I will read the book and then I will book a ticket to see the play. Maybe a month or two later, I will always get a last minute ticket. That, if you know anything about the play, that hasn't been the case. It has been sell out since the first week it went on sale. So I was wrong about that. Anyhow, I thought I will continue reading it because eventually I will attempt to get a ticket. So I got the book on Audible, and I started getting into it. And I really struggled. I generally am really good at audiobooks, but there was something about A Little Life that I really struggled with when it came to the audiobook. I don't know if it was the narrator. I don't know if it was how monotonous the narrator was with his kind of the language and the way he was reading the book. I don't know if it's because the first 200 pages are a complete overload, and if you've read the book, the first couple of hundred pages are literally a deep dive into the various characters within this book. And there are 4 main characters in this book who are friends from university, and then as the book goes on, there are several other characters and names that are brought into the mix. So I found it really hard to concentrate whilst listening to the audiobook. I listen to audiobook when I'm driving or maybe at the gym sometimes, and I found myself constantly having to go back, and every 5 minutes I was going back to, a couple of minutes in the audiobook because I just couldn't grasp who the narrator was talking about, or like which character, what's the situation, who's the family behind this person that they're talking about, and it was just really overwhelming. And I think about a week into trying to listen to the audiobook, I just couldn't. I was so close to calling it quits and putting it down and almost pretending that I'd never heard about A Little Life. Um, a week and a half into the tickets for the play going on sale, I managed to get myself. I don't know how, because they released more. They released stage seats for the sellout run, and I thought, well, let me attempt to get whatever these stage seats are. And I don't know how, but actually, it was quite far into the time frame that the tickets went on sale. So the tickets went on sale at 10 o'clock. I think it was like 20 past 10, and I still hadn't managed to get any tickets. And it's like booking a concert ticket to go and see Beyonce. The queue for these tickets were mad, and I somehow managed to get 2 tickets on the stage for the Richmond Theatre show run, which is the first week of the play. And actually, I'm going to see it tomorrow, which is also very overwhelming. So I thought I have to get through this book because I will kick myself if I watch the play without having read the book. That's just the way I am. I'd rather read a book before I go and watch the movie of the book, because I think once you've seen it, you can't unsee it. But when you've read something and you've come to your own mental conclusion of the book, to then watch it is a bonus, right? So I was adamant, and I went past a bookstore and I went in and I purchased this book, and it's a bloody big book. It's 720 pages. It would take me a year to read this book the way I read physical books. However, I set myself a goal because I knew I was going to see A Little Life on the 15th of March, which is tomorrow. And I had to finish it, and I've dedicated the last 3.5 weeks to reading A Little Life. It's the fastest book I've ever read, and it's the first time I've read a book where I've been on one roller coaster of a journey. This book has, as anyone who knows about the story knows, that it is an absolute journey that you go on. You go on this journey from the start till the end, and you have no conceivable idea of what you're in for. I had some idea, I'd actually accidentally come across spoilers for the book, so I knew the themes, and I knew what was expected. I knew there was a few characters that wouldn't make it till the end, but as much as I could, I tried to stay away from it. The deeper I got into the book, I was just so immersed in this world that Hanya has created that I could not put it down. I could not step away. And I know a lot of people talk about how sad the book is, but for me, A Little Life is probably one of the most beautiful books I've ever read. And it is one of these books that has had the strangest impact in my day-to-day life, during reading the book and post reading the book. And I think despite all the heaviness that the storyline and the plot line comes with, one thing I took away from this the most was the immense love every single person had for Jude. This was a love story and a romance in ways that I had not ever imagined. And it wasn't during the book that I was sad. Like, there was moments you're reading the book and it's evidently heart-wrenching and it's heavy and it's sad and you're disgusted and you can't comprehend what is happening. But that didn't make me physically sad or emotional. Like I felt um, pain for the character, but I didn't necessarily cry. I think there was only maybe two moments in the entire start to finish of reading it that I physically had tears in my eyes. Um, and I'll go on to explain when those were. But where I found myself being impacted by what I had read was like a day later when I was going about my mundane, sort of day-to-day chores of, making breakfast or going on the tube or going into the gym, that I felt the impact of what I had read. And when it got to the bits where it was focused on the relationship more intensely between Willem and Jude, is probably where I felt the most moved and the most anxious, because though that chapter was called The Happy Years, which is so ironic, I knew they weren't going to be happy. And reading those chapters left me the most anxious I've felt in such a long time. Like if you watch some of my other content, I talk about anxiety, and I hadn't felt anxiety for about 3 years till that point where I read those intimate moments and those communications and the life that Willem and Jude were leading together, which on one hand was just so beautiful that it was almost like relationship goals, and on the other hand it was so sad because Jude wasn't able to accept the love that he was receiving, and he was second guessing himself, and I could feel Willem's frustrations, and knowing that there may not be a happy ending was probably one of the hardest aspects of getting through that portion of the book, to the point where I had a bit of a panic attack having read that section, and I then went off to I actually went to the gym, and then I was meeting a friend, and on my way to meeting a friend I had this huge sort of overwhelming feeling of anxiety and almost what borderline a panic attack, and I just do not know where it was coming from, but all I could do was think about those few chapters that I had just read that day, and the way this impacted me was just like nothing I've ever experienced listening to music or reading literature or watching a movie. It was just something I've just from a different place, the way this has emotionally hit me. And that moment I realized how special this book was. And it was that moment when, spoiler alert, but Willem runs into the bathroom and sees Jude doing what he is, and he grabs the paraphernalia and harms himself. That which I just went, and I felt that pain that Willem was feeling. I think there was definitely certain aspects of the book where I thought, seriously, like, come on, like, this couldn't have happened, or this is just too much in terms of what she's describing, like the fact that the characters had to endure so much over a set period of his life. And then I read and listened to several interviews that she's given over the years since releasing the book, and it made me really understand that what she was writing was, as she describes, a fairy tale, and that she wanted to show the extreme cases and the extreme scenarios that one may endure if they found themselves in the situation that Jude finds himself in. And that then made me realise that we're not meant to believe that everything did happen as such to this character, but we're meant to understand that these things do happen in the world, and yes, it's an extreme representation of that, but these things occur, and we don't live in a perfect world. So that helped me get on board with some of the things that the book contains, not necessarily the the violence and the trauma, but just the amount that she had put in there, which I found at times unrealistic. But it helped me understand more as how those things can impact people's lives throughout their life. It doesn't go away, and that there isn't this magic point in your life where that the trauma ends and you then all of a sudden go on to be happy and live the most fruitful life, no matter how successful you are. And as we know, Jude was extremely successful. Um, Another thing I loved about this book is how she really challenged me as a reader. I found it intellectually really stimulating. Some of the language she uses, the words she uses, I've constantly found myself um, Googling them just because they weren't words I'd come across. Her exploration of, different professions and genres of literature and film and art and the law world was just absolutely fascinating. Like the fact that she wrote this book in a year and a half whilst working a full time job, which was just incredible, and just showed what, as a human, you're capable of, people are capable of. And I found that just, sort of fascinating and mesmerizing. So as a reader, I'm really challenged now and concerned that I may not find a book that has the same impact on me and lives up to this, um, which I just found profound. Like I found that how can someone write something that impacts people on this level? Having completed the book, I found myself very quickly wanting to go back to the beginning. I'd never thought I'd want to read this book again, but I haven't yet. I probably will maybe in a year or so. But I would love to go back to the beginning of the book and really enjoy the first few hundred pages that I didn't enjoy, and really now knowing the characters, understand, sort of some of the backstory of their earlier days, which Hanya touches upon a lot at the beginning of the book, and I think it would just be a much more enjoyable read. I found myself wanting to tell everyone about it, but no one really caring as much as I did, because they were just like, "You're mad! Like, what is this? What are you on? Like, what? How can something have this impact on you?" And I just can't explain it. I don't want necessarily want people to read it, but at the same time, I want people to read it so I can talk about it and I can share how I feel. Like it's so hard to convey like what this has done for me. And I'm sure people who have read it have, do feel the same. I know people, I've watched reviews of people who've read it who've absolutely hated it, and that's fine. I mean, I don't know how I could hate this incredible piece of work, but I feel we're all different and we're all touched in different ways, and we have different ideas of what is special and what isn't. So I completely respect that. So I am seeing the play tomorrow, and I reckon I'll see it more than once. I really have that sense, and I'm just so excited to see this world that I've visualized for the last month come to life so quickly. Like I literally finished the book 10 days ago, and I'm seeing it, so soon. I feel really fortunate for that, and I just can't wait to see how this. It's just all going to come to life, and I really feel a little bit anxious and a bit nervous about it, as well as really excited. I'm seeing it with a friend who I'm nervous for. Um, I've become slightly obsessed with the whole process of this play. Um, so I will come back and do a review of the play, for people who may not get an opportunity to see it. I know this isn't how to review a book. Um, this is a very long, unstructured review, um, but I think this is more just about me getting my feelings and thoughts out about this subject in some format, and then just if people watch it and listen to it, they do. If you have got this far, because I know I'm rambling, please comment and let me know your thoughts and if you've read A Little Life and how you felt about it. As you can probably tell from my face, I'm still just processing and really living with the characters. I wouldn't just say Jude, like I'm living with all the characters. There are days where I think about Harold and think about someone in my life who is almost like a Harold-esque figure, and how I'm potentially searching for a Willem in my life, or a Willem type character in my life. It's just so bizarre. Seriously, it's just such a strange experience I've had in the last month with living with this book, and it sits on my table now because I look at the picture of every day, and even though it isn't Jude as such, it reminds me of Jude. And yeah, I'm very excited about the play, and I will come back and report on that. But thank you for listening. Thank you for just, yeah, um, being here and hearing this outpour of nonsense. And I shall maybe see you in the next video. Thanks, guys.